Welcome to the FITFO Show with Brandon and Kyle. Here we explore what it takes to live a disciplined and impactful life. If you really want to level up and be the best version of yourself, then this is your podcast. Listen as we dive in deep into what separates the winners from the wannabes. I'm your host, Brandon Bowman.
I'm your host, Kyle Westcott.
And today we're going to be talking about complacency, living comfortable, and what it means to be average. And that is everything that Kyle and I do work every single day hard to make sure we rise above that by following a disciplined life, an impactful life. So
keeping visions in sight, thinking of every different direction that could lead us to our end goal. So not leaving any stone unturned is pretty much what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. So Kyle, I think let's talk about this. I think this might be a cool idea is what's your vision, man? Like, what is it that you want in life? What is it like Kyle Westcott made it?
My vision is to be successfully, mentally, financially, to allow myself the freedom to continuously educate myself in different avenues of life. No matter how old I am, there's always something that can be learned. I also believe that I will end my life with knowledge to pass on to my children and my grandkids that will help them with good direction in their lives. That's one thing I really, really hope to achieve is great information to pass along to my future generations, as well as being financially sound so that they have some assistance more than I had growing up. For college and for their dreams and aspirations, so
yeah,
that's my goal in life, is to be able to acquire those things and pass them along.
Absolutely, dude.
And you, man?
For me, we've already talked about how much you and I are alike, so it's definitely going to be pretty similar in the sense that I really want to build a legacy for those behind me, and I want to be able to take care of my family financially, to an extent, right? Definitely with my immediate family, with like my wife someday, and or eventually wife. She knows she is. But to be able to like take care of her where we're not worried about the same issues as far as like financially. And I really do want to get very big into like fitness. I think that's my iron therapy. And I just want to make sure that on my headstone, there's obviously a birth date and a death date, but I really want to make sure that dash in between actually means something to the people that know me,
Absolutely, dude. That's huge. That's huge. What did he do in that time frame?
Yeah. Who the hell is Brandon Bowman?
What did he do? Yeah. What did he change? How did he change things? That's awesome, man. That's really cool.
Leave a good impact. So
absolutely, man. What do you think causes people to get off of their ass?
I think
people get hung up, right? What is it? People get complacent.
Yeah. So are you asking what do I think why people become complacent, or
why do people become complacent?
I think that people become complacent as soon as they're comfortable with where they are. Now, that could be with your job, that could be with your wife and kids, that could be with your fitness. As soon as you become comfortable, you blink your eyes and you wake up 10 years later. And I know a lot of people that are like that. I have a lot of friends that feel that way. And it's like, oh, I used to be in great shape, or, oh, I used to, even with their girlfriend or whatever, or their wife, and they had a really good thing going, and then it became too comfortable, and then nothing changes, and therefore it just falls apart. And now they're falling into depression, anxiety, picking up other addictions and things like that. I know you know people like that. I definitely know people like that. So
absolutely. Do you feel like people just kind of give up? They get to that one point where they're feeling, they're complacent, still have dreams, still have, aspirations that they want to achieve, but they don't have that motivated factor to kick them in the rear and get them moving. And
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah. I think
a lot of people just hold on to that feeling that they don't have the motivation or someone to motivate them or something to motivate them. And that's what keeps them stuck in that rut.
I think what happens is people are waiting for somebody to hold their hand.
Yeah.
Somebody like pull me out of this hole that I put myself into. I'm not going to do it until somebody else pulls me out. Like, I don't have the discipline in myself to do it. So I'm going to rely on my wife to do it for me when it's not her job to pull you out of that. Yeah, she can support you and aid you. But, at the end of the day, look yourself in the mirror and be real with yourself. And it's like, whose fault is it really at? Take some extreme ownership. Jocko Willink, read that book 6 times. You'll freaking figure it out.
Yeah, because I mean, you were born yourself. You weren't born with your wife.
No.
And you weren't born with that, what is it? A director, you were born as like someone, you said, this isn't a person that leads you through your life. Make sure you follow this person's direction or this, whatever. Yeah. So taking accountability for yourself and
stop playing the victim.
Seriously,
dude, there's so many times in my life where I could have played the victim card, and to be completely honest, I have played the victim card, and that got me fucking nowhere, dude. It gets you fucking nowhere.
I mean, that's a way of living, and it's a way of learning, right? Yeah, that's a failure point for me, right?
Mm-hmm. But you learn from it, right?
You learn from it, and you get moving. You're like, this sucks. This isn't how it's supposed to be done. I'm not getting nowhere living this way. Time to turn on turn it up. Time to get moving.
I always say, grow through it. Don't just go through it, grow through it,
Yeah.
And that's up to you. If you do grow from it, learn from it, you very well could be the person that never does. And then you are that person that's living complacent, comfortable, and boom.
Yeah. For everybody who's listened to this podcast, understand that each of us, Brandon and I, both were in points of our lives where, you get discouraged. And you're looking and trying to think about like which direction that you need to head in and what you're going to do next and how that's going to benefit your lives. And just like we're here to motivate you with our experiences and how we are motivated individuals today, people out there, Eric Thomas, huge motivation. Like I listen to that guy every morning. I throw a podcast on when I'm heading to work or when I'm heading to the gym. It's a huge motivator for me, because what we're preaching here, what we're saying here, these guys do every day and they live it. And you can hear the passion in their voices and feeling the passion in their voices and listening to the message. Don't just listen to the words, listen to how they're saying those words. Mm-hmm. The emotion behind it is 100% genuine. They mean what they're saying. We mean what we're saying. We're telling you our experiences and how to motivate you. You got to do the same thing. Take it amongst yourself, tune into something.
And those people and us too, like we have our freaking bad days. We have those times where we go into the gym and we're just like completely like, we don't like certain parts of our workouts. We don't like, oh man, I really need to work on this. Like we have our times where we go into that, small depression, but we don't let ourselves stay in that rut. We, we'll talk about later, is surround ourselves with good people, good like-minded people. We find ways and learned ways to get out of those ruts. So that way you're not stuck in there and then you're not losing your mind. You're not falling to that spiraling descent of depression for long terms. Like, okay, cool. I'm recognizing that I'm falling down this path. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to listen to the certain podcasts that get me going again, certain music. I'm going to do a workout that I know I like. I'm going to go see or call that friend or your parents or your brother or your sister, whoever it is that gets you out of that. But you need to do that. Like you have to reach out for it. You have to reach out for the help. Counseling. I do counseling. For a while I was doing like once a week. I dialed it back, but that's something that has helped me tremendously. It's going beyond what your friends or family are able to talk to you about. You're actually getting professional help, which is a big deal. But yeah. So I think, what is average to you? What is like an average person in your definition?
Somebody who is comfortable with whatever their life is at,
Mm-hmm.
they're, average individuals, they're not going to strive to do anything extra. They're going to wake up at 6 a.m. and they're going to be at work at 7:30, and they're going to work their shift. And instead of working their shift and trying to do the best that they possibly can, they just do the minimal amount. They go to work, they get through the 8-hour shift, they clock out, they get in their truck or their car and they head on home. And then they, watch TV, they comfortable home, watch TV, they don't pick up a book and trying to broaden their vocabulary by reading a book, or, broadening their history by picking up a book that pertains to, the history of this earth, and, different time zones that time periods that we have gone through, and how impactful a certain time period has been for the development of our society as a human race. Somebody who doesn't, want to take on anything extra than just the bare minimum I believe is average.
Yeah. And I think that people, even with people that I've talked to about with like discipline or comfort and why they don't feel like they're ready to wear the brand, which we'll get to in a second. But if you are finding ways to improve on yourself, finding ways for better self-development, you are getting up before work or going after work to go work out, or doing something out of like your normal routine to better yourself, you're not average.
Yeah.
I think people get that confused because maybe you feel like you're an average person, but if you are actively doing something to improve yourself, I'm telling you right now, you're not an average person.
Yeah. And I want to go back to what I said is about, if you're just comfortable going through just the normal thing every single day and not taking those little extra steps. I mean, they're little steps.
Mm-hmm.
Picking up a book and reading a book. I'm not saying you have to read the entire book, 20 chapters, 100 chapters, whatever it may be. Read a chapter or two a night. Okay. Reading a chapter or two a night is going to get you closer to the end of that book, which then gets you closer to another book. Okay. Mm-hmm. Which is another book full of words, new vocabulary that you will be able to have within your vocabulary repertoire and understanding of those words. Another thing is, like, when you go to work, instead of just doing the bare minimum at work, do something a little extra, ask, for a little bit more responsibility in a particular part of your job, and then start slow, like, it's good to broaden yourself in these aspects, because you begin to understand why successful people are successful. Mm-hmm. Is because they're uncomfortable being comfortable
in
basic tasks of the day. Mm-hmm. Instead of getting up at 6 a.m. and having an hour to get them, get breakfast and get dressed and get ready for work, they're getting up at 5. They're getting up at 4:30 and they're eating breakfast, and they're maybe going for a run, or they're going to do a workout before. They're going to get their body fully awoken to get them ready for the rest of their day. Then they're going to go to work, and at work, they're not just going to do the bare minimum. They're going to be trying to be the most superior individual at work. I'm not saying be a tyrant, but they're going to be there. They're going to make sure that if somebody needs assistance with something, they're going to be there to assist them or help direct them the right way to get that particular task done correctly and efficiently. Okay. They're going to be there to make sure that, the day runs smoothly, and that whatever is going on within that job is going well and is being productive. Okay. Whether it be helping out coworkers, helping out patients, whether it's making sure that, things are folded right or in the right location, stuff like that. Just taking that little, instead of walking by something that's, just thrown on the floor when it's on a shelf like 2 feet away, instead of walking past it, you pick the box up, you pick whatever it is up, you put it where it needs to be. It's in its place. It's in the right spot. You move on. That little simple thing, that's it. That's a success. The same thing is when you go home, instead of going home and just jumping right on your couch, maybe go for a walk, relive your day, think about the things that you've done through your day, think about, how it made you feel to do those extra tasks, and didn't think about the next day. You know what? That felt good today. I
Mm-hmm.
did a lot. I felt very productive. You know, I'm going to do it tomorrow, and I'm going to do it the day after, and I'm going to do it the day after, and see how it changes the way you think. You're going to be very shocked on how you start to develop as an individual, because it is tiring at first, but as you continue that same regimen, you stay on that path of doing the same thing, you start to find that it's a lot easier, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not as hard as you think it was going to be, and it's going to make you feel a lot better, and you're gonna see life a whole lot differently.
Yeah, I think if you also like at the end of the day, kind of like go over everything you did in the day, you might be able to find something that you're like little bit more proud of, or like something that you can improve on, or you can do some self reflecting on your day.
Yeah.
And then I like what you said too, is like playing out your day in your head too, and like visualize your day tomorrow. I talked to some people about that, or getting to start scheduling out these things and putting it into a planner, so that way you're going to be more, you have a better chance of actually like following through with that. So like
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow, put it in your calendar that you're going to wake up at a certain time, that you're going to be doing this workout, and know what that workout is,
Yeah,
and
something you visually can see, it makes you accountable. You can't visually see it. Some people, they'll throw the excuse out, oh, I didn't write it down, so I didn't remember, but I got home and I remembered it. But if you write things down, or I know we have freaking iPhones, we have Apple Watches that bling, they send you a notification, once you've set something in your phone, say, it's 6 o'clock, you need to eat, it's, it's 7 o'clock, you're supposed to be at your workout at the gym, whatever it is. Like, you can set this up, they're very simple reminders, and they help, especially if somebody needs that little kick in the rear. Those little notifications are huge kicks in the rear, because then you start thinking, if you don't do it, then it's like, oh my God, I didn't eat, and my
yeah,
alarm went off. I saw it go off, and I looked at it, and I didn't eat. It's 7 o'clock. I'm supposed to be at the gym right now, and I'm being lazy. Then you start being accountable for what you're doing.
mm-hmm.
There's this definition for complacency we put up here. And I'm just going to read it off, Brandon, so that everybody can understand. Like,
Sure.
if they don't understand complacency, or what the definition is the danger is that being too complacent can derail your career. Complacency is a feeling of quiet pleasure or security, often while unaware of some potential danger, detect, or the like. Self-satisfaction or smug satisfaction with an existing situation or condition. Okay,
Well,
so go ahead.
yeah. So I think what I'd say, potential danger, defect, or the like. I could tell you, when I was in the Marine Corps, I flew in helicopters. No, I didn't fly them. I was in the back. And we literally said complacency kills, because that is a legitimate statement that I have. There's certain incidences that happened in the Marine Corps, without going into details, that some people are no longer here. Okay, yeah, maybe you're not being in the military, but maybe you work with heavy equipment. Maybe you work in the medical field. And as soon as you become complacent and you're not paying attention, you literally could kill somebody or yourself. It is that simple as crossing the street and not paying attention, and it's all over, or driving down the road and you're too focused on your phone or whatever it is that's going on that you think is way more important than your surroundings. And the next thing you know, you're not having to worry about those, because something bigger and worse has happened to you. So
Yeah.
complacency legitimately can kill you, obviously. Maybe not, but maybe it is a slower like process. Maybe it's not paying attention while you're driving, but maybe it's not taking care of yourself physically, mentally, spiritually, your relationships, your finances. And then 10, 15 years from now, it ultimately did kill you, or just like dismantled some relationships. Like, this is not just like something to just like pass over, or like not pay attention to, or not do some self reflection on. Like,
another way for complacency to be understood is comfortability.
mm-hmm.
Comfortability, people are like, well, I'm comfortable. I mean, comfortable is supposed to be great. You're supposed to be comfortable. Yes, you are supposed to be comfortable. There is times that when you're comfortable, that could hurt you. And to piggyback off what Brandon, what you were saying about the military, a lot of bad things happen when soldiers get complacent. They've been on a tour too long. They've been away from mom. They've been away from their wives, their kids, their families. They are ready to get out of the hot zone and get home. They're ready to get stateside. So they get comfortable. They get complacent. And then something kicks off, man. Something kicks off. They need to be on their toes. Their head needs to be on the swivel so that they're watching their surroundings and they're also watching the backs of their battles. Mm-hmm. Okay. And when you get comfortable and complacent, the probability of a mistake coming is far great. And that's when people, it's sad to say, but that's when the people don't come home. That's when the boys don't come home, the soldiers don't come home, just because they get complacent and they lost the vision of why they're there, and they're just ready to get away. And the same thing happens, like you said, in different aspects of life, in the healthcare, complacency. You get comfortable thinking that, you're not going to get stuck with a needle because you've done it a million times and it's just simple and you know how to do it and whatnot. And next thing you know, you just got stuck with a needle, and, you have to start thinking about different diseases and things that you may have contracted because of that stick, Then you start thinking of your life and you start thinking about the people around you that now that's going to affect, and understanding that, you have to be comfortable and understand your abilities, but know that in situations where you are being relied on to do things properly in an effective manner, and doing it that way is huge. It can change your life. It can change everybody else's life. And so understanding what complacency and being comfortable means is huge. But what I was saying is, when you get complacent and stuff like that, and it's excuses, right? We finished with excuses. Yeah. And it's everyone has an excuse on why they're comfortable and why they, are okay with being where they are, and it's like, stop making excuses. Mm-hmm. Okay. That you're not owning up to your full potential. Okay. And it's because you're afraid of being looked at differently. You're afraid of being laughed at. You're afraid of failure or whatever. Failure is the best teacher. The best teacher. Nobody has ever learned anything without failing. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if you misunderstood something. That's a failure. Okay? Even if you understand a small amount, but if you don't have the full picture, okay, and it's the wrong, so you're like, oh yeah, when it comes down to, simply, here we go, driving, rules and regulations, right? So I've seen a lot of people come into the emergency room from using their cell phones, getting in accidents and things like that. And people make excuses. Well, I needed to send a text because I was meeting somebody somewhere. Okay, yeah, you need to send a text, but you could have pulled over to the side of the road and sent that text. You could have messaged that individual before you left and say, hey, I'm jumping in the car. I'm getting on the road now. I'll be there in 30 minutes. I have my GPS on and my ETA is 32 minutes, maybe with some light traffic. I'll call you when I get close, which means you pull over and you call that person instead of putting people around you in jeopardy because you're paying attention to your phone. You're not paying attention to the road, especially down where I live, man. There's a lot of traffic. And then someone gets into a car accident and then they're going to jump out. And the first thing anybody ever says is what? When there's an accident, the first time the person gets out of the car and they go, I'm sorry. Every single time. Mm-hmm. And instead of owning up, and sorry doesn't fix somebody's car. Sorry doesn't bring somebody back from the dead. Somebody doesn't bring a limb back. It doesn't fix a financial situation that person was already in. Now is significantly more because now their car is damaged because you were being irresponsible on the phone. Okay. Understanding that not making an excuse and just being real will guide you a lot better. It'll make you understand things a lot better if you just understand that, you were wrong and excuses are like assholes and everybody has one.
Well, it's like we talked about earlier. It's like taking ownership of your actions, you know, and a lot of people have a hard time with that. And kind of like what I was saying, I think we had a little bit of connection issues, but a lot of people have their, 100 excuses for everything. Like maybe they are late to work and they already have 6 excuses ready to go. So by the time they got there, depending on what their boss says, they already got 2 or 3 ready to go with some alibis, you know, or maybe you have your excuses pre-made before you even go to bed about why you're not going to get up in the morning. You know, and then you're laying in your bed for about 10, 15 minutes. You don't actually go and you beat yourself up the rest of the day. It's like, take ownership of your failures in that, you know, and do something about it. So something I've always told myself is, you know, discipline over your damn excuses. Like,
absolutely.
That's going to be what makes the great, separates the great from the average, the winners from the wannabes, is consistency. And really cool quote, I'm not really sure who it's from. It's like, if you're persistent, you will get it. If you are consistent, you will keep it. Because,
absolutely,
you know, a lot of people that are like, oh, I used to do this, I used to do that. And then you look at where they're at, they're nowhere near what they're talking about because they're never consistent. So therefore, they're never going to keep it.
Absolutely. I mean, one of our guests that we're going to have here, Paul, that's a prime example of somebody who's persistent and consistent. I coached a kid wrestling. We'll get into that when we have our when we have him on the show. The boy was a little scrawny little guy, not very muscle on the kid, very thin, and he didn't know very much, but he was very persistent, and he applied himself each and every day he was in the room. And outside of the room too, is because of their grades, making sure that the grades were where they needed to be so that they could compete. And a lot of them, had trouble. I would sit with them in the wrestling room after we've just had a 4-hour practice, sit there in the wrestling room and do math with my wrestlers, go through algebra, geometry, help write some papers, help them in English, whatever it was. I would sit there and help them. But they were persistent because they knew that they could come and ask me for help, and that there was somebody there that cared about what they were doing. So it was a motivation factor for them, and the consistency, continuously coming back, not just taking it the one time and running with it. Oh, he helped me with my homework for tomorrow. Okay, we're cool. And then not, asking for any more help and then failing a class because they didn't continuously ask for help and to understand the entire subject. So persistence and consistency is huge.
So I think what I'd like to talk about next is something I call network is your net worth. And that's the people that you surround yourself with. I know this is going to be very tough because we both know people that are like this. That's, I know a lot of people, you probably already know that's like who you surround yourself with is like who you are, who you become.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you want to get into like, bodybuilding community or get into like working out, you're going to surround yourself with those kind of people.
Yep.
And same with like finances too, like finding good mentors in business and, careers and things like that, find somebody at work that you love the way they do their job and, being around them and things like that. Yeah. Because this is going to be a really tough statement for people, but you could fuck your whole life up just by hanging out with people with no goals and ambition.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And if you think you're that person, then damn straight you might be that person. And it's never too late to change that, the
mindset.
It's a big mindset, dude. Mindset, discipline, like taking control of your, of yourself, take ownership of your actions, like make that change now. You're never too old, never too young to make those pivoting, shifting changes, life altering changes. And
yeah, I got a buddy of mine who, I've heard this statement come out of his mouth several times. He goes, I separate myself from people that have no goals or aspirations, that are comfortable. They're complacent. He's I can't be around them. Well, his words are, I can't I can't talk with people like that.
It brings you down.
Brings you down too, and one of the things that he always says is, I'm always putting positivity out to the the atmosphere is so that I attract it,
Mm-hmm.
positive attract, right? So he's always saying, one of the buddies is always saying stuff like that. And, he really is one of those guys that deters being away from negative individuals, because those people are just going to bring you down. They're going to latch onto you and try to pull you to the level that they're at. Once they see that you're climbing the ladders and you're making all the advancements with all the hard work, and that person, once you start hanging around those people, they want to just keep you at their level, because they're not motivated to get going and getting forward and achieving the goals that they had set for themselves.
Yeah, and I think that's going to hurt a lot of feelings for some people that are starting to think that they're the ones. It takes reflect on yourself a little bit, and maybe if you are that person, now's the time to like make that switch. And like I said, that Kyle and I, like you may know us and you may feel like you're that person, but that's on you. That's like your experience and like how you feel. And so if you do feel like that, then maybe you should make that change or make that pivot to live that impactful life, because that's how Kyle and I became really good friends. Is we surround ourselves with this kind of mindset, like the entrepreneur, the fitness industry. Like, we're definitely going to make it, because we're going to put in the time, we're going to put in the effort, we're going to be persistent, and we're going to be consistent, and we're going to go out and fulfill our vision and our dreams, and support people along the way, because we're working in healthcare right now. I've done breast cancer awareness. I've raised a ton of money through that, and I'm always looking for ways to help build our community, help other people, and it's just all about surrounding yourselves with those good people. Because if you have like problems with like addictions or things like that, and you're hanging out with people that like to drink every single weekend or all the time, guess what kind of person you're going to turn into?
Same person.
Yep. So that's not the life I want to live. And if we're not in line with those certain goals, then that's okay. It's nothing wrong with like people growing apart or whatever. It's just the way life is. Your same friends from when you were a child, or in the military, or in your workflow, or your business or career, may not be the same as they were like 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So
if you feel like you're the people that are, the Debbie Downers, let's say, you figure it out, man. We're here to motivate, and then, I'm not going to let anything hinder my ability to move forward, because I have dreams to make sure that my life is fulfilled and happy, and that before I die, and I say this a lot, because of experiences I've acquired. So within working in healthcare, I'm sure that you can agree with what I'm going to say. It's like you have the end of life and you have the beginning of life. And, you start to communicate with a lot of people. You make a lot of relationships, and you hear a lot of stories. And I have heard a lot of patients, say, I wish I did this. I wish I went to Niagara Falls. I wish I would have worked out more. I wish I would have ate healthier. I wish I would have done this. And then you hear the other side, where you hear, I can remember when I went to Thailand and I, was in the elephant. I was in the elephant parade, or
yeah.
they were walking around, visualizing exotic animals that were on an endangered species list, and they were in like reserves that were protected them. And I can remember when I went to, Antarctica, whatever, the people that are saying that I remember is because they would live the filled life. They took the life that they had, and they made sure that every second that they had was accounted for something.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't wishing to do it. It was making the choice to do it, managing their time, and going and doing it, figuring it out and going and doing it. And that's what I'm going to be. When I pass away, when I'm in my deathbed, my kids are looking at me, before my eyes shut, I'm going to say, I can remember when I went, when I went to Australia, or when I went to, wherever, hell, when I went to the moon. Hopefully we can do that in my lifetime.
Right.
But if that opportunity ever presents us, I will work myself as hard as I can to be able to experience that, and whatever I want to do is going to be done in my life because I have the drive and motivation to do it. So I'm not going to be that person. And that's how everybody should live. They should strive to better themselves in every aspect of their life and to see as much as possible. Don't keep yourself secluded in one area because you're just comfortable and how, it's easy to get through the day. Because by the time you know it, you're going to be at that last breath. Yeah. And that's it, So who knows what's after, but I want to know. I'm going to take full advantage of what this world has to offer. I'm going to motivate the people around me and push them to do great things and be the best version of themselves that they possibly can be. I know, Brandon, you're on the same page. That's why we're such homies, bro.
At the end of the day, guys, if you're persistent, you will get it. If you're consistent, you will keep it. Take ownership of your actions. Nobody has time for excuses. And let's live a disciplined and impactful life. So I really want to thank you guys for tuning in. Again, if it's not your first time, thank you guys. This is our second episode. We are super excited for the journey ahead, and we're looking forward to your feedback, your love, and your support. And if you guys could subscribe, talk to somebody about it. That's all we ask from you guys. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. And my name's Brandon.
And I'm Kyle Westcott. Hey, as long as we're ending here, we are launching the YouTube channel. Okay, so if you're hearing this podcast on Spotify, go ahead and tune into Discipline Over Comfort over on YouTube. You will see, this podcast and our first podcast. Again, we greatly appreciate the feedback that you have for us, whether it be positive or negative. Feedback is feedback. It's growth in a positive direction for us. So you guys keep killing it. We love your support. Peace.
Peace. Thanks, guys.